Hi, everybody. This is Marilyn. Do we have audio? I hope so. If I didn't click a button, thank you. Thank you. Hello, everybody. This is Marilyn, and it's time for the noon edition of Welcome to My World. This is the 11th of May, and it is a Wednesday. And as some of you found out, crude oil inventory day. Boy, it just kind of went berserk right then, didn't it? Anyway, this morning the indices, you remember how yesterday they all were traveling pretty well, about the same amount of strength, except for TF. And TF just did not seem to want to catch up to its little friends. Today, TF has been the leader. And we've had, obviously, crude oil and the Canadian dollar both went up, up, up. And gold went up a little bit. It's kind of been trending down for the last 3 or 4 hours. And the dollar is trending down also while bonds trends up. And those two trade inverse to each other, the dollar and the bonds, generally speaking. Anyway, all the indices, futures, seem to be up this morning, at least the main ones that I keep track of are the Canadian, the Aussie, the Euro, and the Yen, and there's a reason for that. The Canadian dollar is the currency that is tied to, more significantly than any other, to crude oil, and Aussie is the currency that tends to follow gold, and it's because of all the mining and gold production in Australia. It tends to be reasonably significant for Australia as compared to other countries. And of course, the euro is very significant. We have the euro and the dollar have a close relationship, so it's good. They trade opposite. They tend to go exactly opposite. And the yen is also fairly important in the big picture, and it trades. It tends to trade right along with bonds, with U.S. bonds. For a long time, the Japanese yen was part of the carry trade. A lot of currency moved overnight to the yen and then was taken off the table the next morning. I don't think that's quite as significant as it used to be, however. Anyway, we've got the VIX down. It was down right at 13. Looked like it might go even into the 12s, but it's up around 1385 right now. So that is a significant indication of fear that's built into the markets. So anyway, I wanted to point out a couple things. We've got some new people in here, and they may not have realized the significance of this crude oil inventory. On a normal week with no holidays, it occurs every Wednesday at 10:30 in the morning. And these inventory reports are based on the inventory that is in storage. And for the U.S., those storage facilities are in Cushing, Oklahoma. And today, there was a huge, significant drawdown on those that inventory storage. Some of it's due to the big fire in Alberta, but a lot of it is due to the fact that the U.S. did have a big inventory build, and they were the only ones on the planet that did. So as demand comes along, guess whose crude oil is going out the door, which has helped move this up the market up higher, along with the Saudi. They're shuffling their ministers around here and there and changing up things because they want to take a piece of Aramco to an IPO within the next few months. I wish them a lot of luck with that. But anyway, when we have that hit, one of the things that is really, really useful is this sharpshooter chart. And right here, let me go back here to 1030. Talk about a market jumping around for a while. These yellow bars, this is still 1030. This is still 1030 and 1 second. So the best idea is not to be in a crude oil trade at 1030. Talk about a bus in overdrive. And when it gets like this, you truly don't know what it's going to do, because sometimes the inventory report comes out below, which a normal person would think would make the market go up, a shortage in supply. But there are times when that's not the case. Today, this was a significant report because it also, along with the crude oil, the drawdown in gasoline and distillates was pretty significant. Typically, the seasonality of crude oil, you probably all have noticed that in May, the price of gasoline at the pump starts to go up. And it's, normally it's the thinking is, oh my goodness, they're really trying to get us at the pump because of vacations and what have you. But the bottom line is that inventory storage. And really significant, well below the forecast. So, and how do you find that out? You look around, there's lots of different websites. We had somebody ask a very good question in here this morning. I think it was Dominic. That was an excellent question about, are the indices more active with more volatility and et cetera over the currencies, or at least spot Forex, during the U.S. morning hours? And the answer to that, there's no real simple answer to that. That's going to depend on one of the reasons I just go every day about the news and the news and the news and the news. Those news reports, those economic numbers reports, they are a significant part of our trading life, because when those things come out, sometimes they're in keeping with the forecast and not too much happens, and sometimes that's not the case. So you can really get run over if you're not aware of what the news events are that are going to affect the markets that you like to trade. Forex markets tend to, except for in the U.S. trading hours, the U.S. dollar and the euro and the Canadian dollar, those can move, but they are moving on U.S. economic news reports. But a lot of people prefer trading in the evening, or they have a job full time and they can only trade during the evening, then those make great vehicles in the evening, because the world has turned around, and the news events in Japan, Singapore, China, Australia, those tend to start affecting those evening and overnight hours. So it's a matter of deciding what times you have available to trade. You cannot come in at just randomly at the time, if it's 10 o'clock in the morning, okay, I'm going to trade. Well, that's great. What makes the most sense to trade at 10 o'clock in the morning? And if you trade after 7 p.m. Eastern time in the evening, then you have to readjust what it is that you want to trade. And let's see, Ezra's asking me if I was just starting to trade, what market would I look at and what trades or strategies would I use? That's also a great question. It's pretty individual. But if I were just starting out, and Daryl is really clear about this, and he's so right. If you, like he is about most things, don't tell him I said that though. Anyway, if you will just get focused on one market and learn that market and practice in demo, you need to pick the strategy or the charting or the system, the trading system within Apex that you're going to use based on, you need to go through all of the training. There's no substitute for that. There's no way around it. There's no shortcut. There's no easy way. You have to sit there and go through that. Take notes. You will go back and review many of those little videos because you start thinking, well, I thought it was this way, and then several people in the room will be posting things, and then you start to realize, wait a second, I don't think I understood that right. So it's a process that you do need to go through. For me, and I think everybody has to find their own, what you want to do is take the easy way out. What makes the most sense to you? Now, the sharpshooter was created to give people the opportunity with basically to make some no-brainer trades, very simple, very easy rules. It's either there or it's not. So you can make a little money to pay your subscription bill every month while you really get yourself up to speed. So the sharpshooter is the recommended. You don't, in other words, you don't really have to know very much. All you have to do is follow the rules. The downside to that is sometimes there is the stops on that put you at a little bigger risk. So a little more than I like anyway. So whatever. I am a huge fan of what I refer to as the streets, which are these price levels that the bus driver drives his bus from one of these things to the next one, to the next one. And when you have those on your chart, the deviation levels in particular, and these zones in particular, the bus drivers know exactly where those are. And so if you can learn that system first and just don't have enormous expectations, the key to that, what it does is it forces you to absolutely learn the rules. And there's a cheat sheet you can print out after you take the course. It's at the end of the course, so needless to say, you have to go through the whole thing to get the cheat sheet. But I found that it's easier for me if I make a little handwritten, like 1, 2, 3, 4. This is what I'm looking for. If it's here, if it's here, if it's here, if it's here, that's it. Okay. Just little abbreviated rules that you don't have to read a whole bunch of stuff and look at a whole bunch of stuff. It's real easy. Once you kind of have that, I am a big, big fan of the classic Apex, the APEX. I love those things. But I like those on a C's chart, and those E's combined with Lori's C's, as far as I'm concerned, that does everything I need it to do. It tells me where the entry is, and as long as I know where those streets are, I know where the bus driver's going. If the bus driver if he's put the pedal to the metal and he's going right through that street, well, then he's going on to the next street. So those are things, and I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to mark those charts. Mark those charts and put them in here. But for example, if you look at the C's and it doesn't make any sense to you, it's like, good grief, I can't. How do you figure all this stuff out? Then start with something else that you have to find what makes the most sense to you. There are scalping strategies and there are trending strategies. There's a lot of different stuff you can use Apex for. But for example, and I'll give you perfect, this was just so classic this morning. When this crude oil, right down here, this kind of messed around here real early this morning, and it couldn't get out. There's a whole bunch of real important levels right in here with the ice and these old magnets and settlement, and it kept fiddling around and fiddling around. But the key here is when inventory came out just before it, there was a big magnet here. And keep in mind, how do you spell magnet? You spell it M-O-N-E-Y. So if that's significant to you, you might want to review the magnet videos that Daryl has done. But right here, we got this great big magnet. We have the current great big magnet. We have the low of the day, and we have a deviation level. Now, my thinking when I see that is that bus driver is going to have a full bus, a huge amount of volume to blow through here. I mean, it's going to take a significant movement with tons of volume. And the volume right in here, if you look, and you looked over here at the volume, at that time it was about 285,000 contracts. And when inventory report gets up to speed, it's well over 500. So there's less volume right in here. And since the bus driver could not get through this is a massive barricade right here, couldn't get through, the thinking then would be that he's basically got no choice but to go up because nobody wants to ride his bus down. And then right before 10:30, right at 10:30, all this stuff happened. It's just way too squirrely to try and get into a trade there. You have to wait until this. I mean, this is right in here. This is 10:30 and 11 seconds. I mean, you can't get into anything like that. But once it comes up here, and you can see definitely on this 10-minute, I love this 10-minute thing for this too. You can see right here, spent, what, half an hour fiddling around with these massive barricades right here. And when it came up and came off of there, then it was off. And where was it going? It was going to this big magnet. No question it was going to 45.70. So anyway, I don't know if that helps or confuses you, but this really does work. You just have to spend some time. And I don't know if anybody's using the market analyzer right now, but I'm playing around with that. And right now, this is just great. I think this will be out pretty soon, but I'll show you what I'm talking about. I keep mine real small. Some people want it huge, but it looks like a checkerboard. I don't see any. Why would you want to trade with red and green and green and red and everything's going, forget it. Just wait till it calms down. It's the time of day. It's 12:20 right now. All the big boys are at lunch. They're not paying any attention to anything. So why should you? Choose your time. Choose your time carefully. But when you get mixed signals, there's a reason for that. Nobody knows what's going on and nobody knows it's not taking a direction. So no trade is many times a very profitable position to be in. Don't ever discount no trade, because no trade can be that can be really just perfect. And if you miss the bus, not a problem. The buses run all day. There'll be another bus. Yesterday into the close, and I will warn you about that today also. This is earnings season, and many times these companies announce their earnings right at the close of, when it says close of market, that's close of open outcry at 4 o'clock. The futures trade for another 15 minutes. So once in a while, when these companies announce at the close of market, there are some, it really will move the NQ or the TF. Open outcry is what it's kind of going the way of the horse and buggy right now, but open outcry is what you see on your television screen when there's all those guys all over the floor and they're screaming and yelling and making all their baseball signals, and that used to be, before the age of computers, that used to be the way futures were traded. So it's just they're trying to phase that out, and they've succeeded in lots of markets. But that's when the volume is around. So tomorrow, before the market, Walmart is announcing. And where does Walmart fall in our indices? Walmart's in the Dow 30. So tomorrow morning, when the Dow opens, when the YM opens, you might want to be aware of what Walmart has, they're forecasted. They miss their forecast, or did they exceed it, or whatever. So anyway, the news starts to pick up a little later in the week. This morning, there still wasn't very much. But tomorrow, there's going to be 7 o'clock. There's a lot of UK news, and it will affect the British pound. So if you trade that Forex pair, 8:30 we have Canadian and US numbers, and at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon is 30-year bond auction. So that's also 10 years today at 1 o'clock. And at 2 p.m. they're going to make some sort of the numbers here about the federal budget balance. Don't you love that one? Anyway, I think that's, whatever they just decide would be a number to write down for today. But they do announce that at 2 o'clock. So I'll get off my soapbox now and see you all tomorrow. Happy trading. This has been my view from my world in Apex land, brought to you by Apex Investing. See you tomorrow.